Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good
There we
evening.
go. See, that was seamless. Oh my
How's
god.
it going, Hidden? How's it going, Hidden?
It's
You
good.
alright?
It's good. It's good. It's good. Hello, John P. I don't know if you're still there, but hello. Because sometimes
Oh,
they come in,
gotcha.
say something, and they go back, and then they come back in a bit. John Stokes, thank you. You shared out the program even before I did, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, John.
Um, Darkest Schooner, much love.
Welcome on
I
in.
see. I see it's all 420. So,
Yeah,
and as always,
Rebecca.
Rebecca,
How's it
much love,
going?
much love. And we'll hang around because let's talk some horror movies afterwards because I have seen the Final Destination. So
Oh, the new one.
yeah,
Nice.
and I know Rebecca's probably gone to the cinema and watched it already. Am I right, Rebecca? But she's saying, I'm waiting for the Chinese man to come around. I'm sorry, are we not supposed to say that? Were we supposed to say we're waiting for the Oriental fella to come around with the CDs, the DVD? Does that happen anymore?
What's that?
They
What's
used to.
that?
Now, I'm not being funny. Okay, I won't talk about it then, Rebecca. I can't talk about it then. It
Oh
is
no,
good. It
it's good
is
though.
good.
Yeah.
Believe the
Is
hype.
it?
Believe the hype.
Is it like a B movie sort of style? Or is it done professionally
Have you
compared
ever
to the
seen?
originals? No, I've seen it. Compared to the
Yeah,
originals,
yeah.
what is it like?
It's
Good.
it's 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 yeah, it's really good, and it's a bittersweet pill because, as you know, it's Tony Todd's um technically Tony Todd's last movie, so
Right.
it's a bittersweet pill because there's a bit in it where you've probably all seen the pictures of him sitting down, but he stands up, and when he stands up, he walks towards the door and he turns around and he says something, and I'm going to tell you what that bit was about. The director in the movie told Tony Todd, he said, look, that this is your bit, say what
Mm.
you want to say, what you have to say to your fans. So that was off script, and that was just to us what he said. So
Right.
it's a bittersweet because he will be missed. The Candyman forever will be missed.
Oh, oh, shame. But yeah. Anyway, if it's a good movie, if you recommend it, I mean, give something me and the missus to actually look at as well. To
Yeah, it's a good movie.
observe.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie, and look out for the Easter eggs, man, because there's loads in there. Because it
Ah,
all
right. Watch
it's
it.
it's all tying up all the movies.
Ah, right. Would have thought it would do something like that. Yeah. Is it playing on the nostalgic realm? Do you know what I mean? When they always put like member berries, like remember this, remember? It's a bit like
Oh no
a
no no
very
no 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 no!
no.
It's
Okay.
it goes it basically in some aspects is a prequel.
Right. Okay.
So it's like the first ever.
Ah, right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'll check that out.
Right. So that's it. No, I don't I have a thing and I don't care. I have a thing called Streamio. So I get to watch a lot of things for free. Well, it's not for free, but I'll tell you now, you pay £12 every 6 months and
Mm.
you got everything. You name it, you got it.
For StreamYard.
Streamio.
Oh, Streamio. Ah, right. Okay, I misheard you then. Right. Ah, okay. Okay. Hey, John, how's it going, man? Florida, real UFOs. How's it going? Yeah. It's so that you get pretty much everything with
You
it
get
then, the whole
everything.
package,
You get
even
everything.
new
All
movies.
You get new movies, you get all the TV channels, Netflix, you get all of them. Netflix, everything, like Shutter, you get everything.
um, the fat Muppet says, "I always believed Crowley was a good guy. I never thought he was evil. I thought he was a guy like to, screw around."
Well,
Oh, thanks Rebecca for following me on Rumble. Yeah, I'm gonna be using that platform a bit more, especially with live shows. A bit more successful on that. But yeah, no, thanks Rebecca. But yeah, Crowley. As obviously today's topic. Um, yeah, it's an interesting one. So the past couple of weeks, I've been really researching into Crowley. Tell us, bring a photograph of him up.
I'll just clear this up. I can't.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I can't put the link in the chat because what it is, you have to buy the Google Chrome, if you know what I'm on about, the Chromecast. You have to buy the Chromecast and then you set up Streamio that way. So there's no link. Okay. You get what I mean? It's kind of like, I think Amazon Fire has something very similar. The Fire Stick has something very similar, I think. I'm not sure. But I'm using what did I say? Sorry, I'm not streaming. Well, this Chromecast.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm using Chromecast, so that's it.
Okay, man. Okay.
So sorry.
No, that's all right, man.
How you doing?
Hey, S Hammers, how's it going, man? S Hammers, I just done a show with obviously I know Hidden doesn't like talking about other shows, but I did plug this show before. I just did me and Lee did a podcast together on Daily Conspiracy Podcast, which we uploaded tomorrow. Actually, a really good time with him. And I did plug this show, by the way, so hopefully we'll get people come over, which would be nice. So, yeah. Oh, you got it. Oh, brilliant. Oh, you pressed the button and it did something. Guys, look, you're in chat. You can see on screen. This is awesome. Right. I tell you what, I can do that for Friday's show then. Oh, isn't that cool? All right. Hold on, I'm going to try something. It's actually going to come up. No way. Yes, it does come up. That's amazing. So yeah, Mr. Crowley, as the guy you see right here, past couple of weeks I've been doing a bit of a deep dive on this guy. Immensely fascinating in terms of what he was doing throughout the duration of his life. Now, people say he's an evil man. I don't necessarily say that he is. I just think he's a bit of an arsehole, to be honest with you. It's ego. From what I've researched, he had a massive ego. And people didn't really like him, but nevertheless, he really went into the ancient philosophy of sex magic to conjure up or summon demons or entities, and he did this throughout the duration of his life. Now, I have put a script together, and it's a bit of a long one, and I don't really want to bore people. Hey, Science Evidence Fringe, how's it going? Corbell's cat, how's it going? You're all here, bloody hell. So you put penis on there, Cosmic Twilight, what twat. So yeah, Crowley, interesting guy, but I would agree with who's in chat who said that. The Fat Muppet. You said that he wasn't necessarily a bad guy. I don't think he was bad at all or evil. That's the mainstream media side of things, mate. That's the mainstream media side of things. That's their perspective of it. Now, yes, I would agree he's quite controversial in some aspects, especially like World War II. But man, this guy was freaky. In a right, Hidden.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not going to say he was freaky. I don't know.
No,
I don't know because
Black
I understand the magic. I understand the magic. Not saying that I would practice it, but I do understand it. And the sex magic wasn't just about demons, bringing in demons.
Okay.
Because it wasn't about being in one. It was some sort of spiritual awakening within inside the body. You could use it to bring in demons if you wanted to, but the philosophy was more about. But we can go into that a bit later.
Was it more or less to do with the inner? I'm trying to think what the bloody word is. Let's just go for it. I've got my my messages here.
So who was Aleister Crowley then?
So who was Aleister Crowley, otherwise known? Hold on a minute. Let's bring it over here. So otherwise known as Baphomet, the Great Beast of 666, and otherwise known as Megatherion, was perhaps the most famous and infamous wizard of all time. And during his heyday, he was feared and hated on due to his mystical practices and beliefs. Crowley did have a following at times, but he was not a cult leader as such, mostly because Crowley didn't have the discipline or organization skills like most cult leaders actually have. Now, I mentioned about his ego, and his ego does play a big factor throughout his life. People with big egos tend to get disliked. I know that because I was part of a band who the lead singer had a massive ego, and yeah, I ended up hating him. So yeah, like I said, his ego was very large. For a cult leader, I mean, he did have followers, but like I said, it wasn't nothing like like a Jonestown or anything like that.
Well, wasn't his problem as well? I got to say, I think one of his main problems is he became a heroin addict.
Yes, he did later on in life. Yeah, because obviously he had asthma and stuff like that. So
well, the heroin came into play when he went over to Italy, where he did have, like, you would call it a commune, because there were other people there that were staying with him.
Oh yeah. He had, like I said, he had followers, but I mean, yeah, you could say as a cult leader, so to speak. I guess so. I think I'm probably a bit loose with those terms. But like I said, he had his ego played a massive part, and plus he was a massive narcissist. Okay, so Crowley was known in the mainstream media for being the most wicked man in the world, but that wasn't really accurate. Okay,
exactly.
But sorry, Gary Lockman, who is the author of the book I forgot the book. But Gary Lockman written a book on Aleister Crowley, and he put Crowley was basically a lonely, selfish, and driven by hunger that even he could not satisfy. All right. So, however, the philosophy and religion skills to this day would you say, is pretty much unknown, hidden in terms of the mystical, magical practices that he did is pretty much unknown, isn't it? I mean,
to the
public. I mean, to put it into ritual practices. Would you say that?
Oh, yeah. Yes and no. It's a hard one to say, because I don't want to go too far, but we can say right now there's a trial going on with a man, the diddler, and you could look at what is being alleged that went on in them parties as kind of the sex magic parties. You could do that. Kubrick touched on kind of this kind of thing with Eyes Wide Shut, and you gotta also know. Do you know about the conspiracy about Eyes Wide Shut?
No. What's that? Hey, we've got Mr. I didn't see you last time. Woo! How's it going, man? You beautiful bastard. Oh, I swore. Sorry.
The conspiracy on Kubrick goes this way, that he cut out 20 minutes out of the movie. Nobody knows these 20 minutes, and a lot of people are saying that. I'm not saying this, but a lot of people are saying that his last movie was going to open up what was going on in the industry in Hollywood, and this is why this Eyes Wide Shut is kind of like pointing at these secret parties that go on in Hollywood. But there was more of an occult thing in the Eyes Wide Shut, that you could go back and say, hold on, are they practicing Crowley stuff?
Okay, because obviously he's very influenced into like music and very aspects through the entertainment industry for sure. He'd even like, hey Moody, how's it going, man? Hey, yeah, Moody's right there. He's on screen. Look at that. I'm surprised he got the chat on screen. That's amazing. Well done, StreamYard. You're actually doing something right. And at this time, can you like sort the audio out? Because every time I use StreamYard audio, it's crap. But yeah, you are right. And you are right, Rebecca. He was also bisexual. And I'll be talking a lot about that through the duration of my script. So yeah, he pretty much created his own religion that was called Thelema. Oh my god, I can't really pronounce this. Thelema. That's it. Sorry, that's Thelema. And let's have a little look. I'm going to be saying a lot.
Yeah.
So when Crowley was talking about Thelema, he was basically talking about the word will. Okay, so that is a massive aspect of his own religion, is the word will. So when Crowley spoke of the word will, he wasn't talking about willpower or perspective or discipline, which he lacked very much. He was talking about destiny and desire. Now, this is what we were just alluded to, basically. The whole religious aspect was, thou shalt not, oh God, thou, I can't remember the quote, but basically
do what thou wilt.
That's it, do what I wilt, yeah. So basically, he was talking about destiny and desire of the word will. And the quote, which I got right here, is, do what I wilt is the whole of the law. Basically means do what the hell you want. Basically, that's what it is. Yes. Okay,
because it's an old Luciferian teaching where
that's right.
Man becomes gods.
That's right. Yeah. Spot on. So yeah, that's basically it. So he really had this sort of perspective of basically do what you want. I mean, that's what he did throughout his life, really, which ended up. He lived a very fulfilled life, as I was more or less reading into it. So Crowley performed intricate spells using arcane knowledge that appeared which could basically conjure up or summon monsters and demons loose upon the earth, which he also claims hidden to be responsible for World War I due to a ritual spell gone bad. So yeah, that's one thing.
Well, you know the rumor about him and the Loch Ness Monster as well. So
we'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a bit. He considered himself.
Sorry, I was going to say, but you can see that he was a bit ahead of his time, because then a few decades after, we had the love-ins of the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, the free love, where everybody was sleeping with everybody, and
Yeah, but that was a CIA plant, mate. The whole hippie movement was a CIA operation. We can get to that to another time. But he considered himself as a prophet, and that would guide humanity into a new golden age by using ancient sex magic. Sex magic or sex black magic is on the cards here. Okay, this is part of Crowley. You can't deny this. And yes, a lot of anal sex. God be said it. I mean, can I not say that word? What's the other terms I can say that? Because you shook your head there, Hidden. Butt buddies. There we go. Okay. Butt buddies, there we go. We just say that. So let's start from the beginning. So Aleister Crowley was born. His name was originally Edward Alexander Crowley, born to Emily and Edward Crowley on October the 12th, 1875, in Warwickshire, England. When Crowley was born, he claimed to have a distinguished mark of the Buddha. Now, this will play later on in life when he would travel into India. Now, Crowley was born with his tongue tied, and days after being born, the doctors had to cut the bottom of his tongue, which he could not pronounce the letter R. Okay, so this is one thing that people don't realize about Crowley. He also claims to have something called a birth call, which is a child being brought into greatness, basically. So you could call it, what do they call those children? They're like really bright or something like that. I can't remember. There's people in chat. What's that?
A savant.
I don't know. It's like children that are like extremely bright, intelligent. MK Ultra, how's it going, man? Nice to see you. Indigo, that's it. Yeah, thanks, Fat Muppet. Indigo children. That's it, basically. Yeah,
I call them savants.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically another form of like indigo children. That's it. That's the one. Yeah. Thanks, Fat Muppet. So that he thought he was brought up for how high great hitness, and he said how was something else then. Alistair Groan.
It's all right for Kanye.
Yeah, it's all right for Kanye. Yeah, it actually took it down, mate.
I know.
But, yeah, thank God for that. But yeah, just take the piss a bit. But anyway, Alistair grown up also known as, like I said, Baphomet and the Great Beast of 666. Now, his mother, as we'll get to in a minute, who he disliked very much, especially when Crowley became in his teenage years, became a bit quite wicked, and obviously changed his perspective where he was like dealing with drugs and stuff like that. And his mother would call him, basically, the Great Beast. Hey, DW, how's it going, man? I didn't see you there. Hey, weren't you Saxon? How's it going, man? How's it going? So yeah, his mother would call him the Great Beast, which he loved that word. He loved being called that, the Great Beast of 666. He also claims when he was a child that he grew 4 singular hairs on his chest that would form the German thing, the thing you can't say. Yeah,
I'm sure basically. We can say. Can't we say that?
The swast, the swast thingy, the German symbol, which actually, if you do your research, was actually a good luck charm symbol back in the Buddha about 1,000 years ago. In fact, that symbol can be traced back through thousands of years, the swastika thing. But unfortunately, the Germans ruined it in the 1920s.
Well, they tilted it. They just took the symbol and tilted it.
They tilted it on its axis, yeah, but normally it's flat. I could show you here, but I'm not going to go to. It's on one of my books on German flying saucers. So
just look at Kanye West's t-shirts because he's selling them.
Yeah, exactly.
You think I'm joking?
Yeah, but what people don't realize is that Crowley came from money, and his parents was extremely wealthy. Now, the Crowley family started brewing their own ale and opened up the first pub in England, which workers could come. Oh, you're right there, mate. Eden?
Yeah. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay, that's cool.
I mute myself.
Oh, that's all right. Okay. So the parents became extremely wealthy. They brewed their own ale. They didn't drink themselves because they were, what they called hidden.
No, they weren't Christian.
No, they were.
I know they were religious.
Come
on, somebody in chat. Could be. Evangelic? No.
That's it, yeah, something like that, yeah. But no, they were, is it Peckamist or something like that? I can't believe I didn't write this down. They were a specific religion, very Christian religion that they based their religious beliefs on. It's got to be on my notes here.
Wasn't his father some sort of like preacher?
Yeah, so I'm going to get to his father now, okay? So, yeah, his father eventually joined the Christian group, which was called the Plymouth Brothering. During this time, Crowley's father...
Crystal Methodist.
Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. So, yeah, during this time, his father went in...
The Gnostics.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Sorry.
So during this time, his father obviously joined this group, and eventually Emily, the wife, joined us, and eventually Crowley did as well. So this describes this religion as a non-pagan beliefs, and basically these are the type of people that will go around the public and holding up signs saying the earth is going to be, it's on its way out, or the end is near, so to speak. That sort of people, very far... I would consider a bit brainwashed, in my opinion, but okay, not judging. But this is the time period I think is really important for people to understand. So at this time, his father would take Aleister Crowley on trips, okay? Hey, Drumstick, how's it going, brother? How's it going? So it would take Aleister Crowley on trips, and he would preach on top of his lungs into the public. And I think at this time period, I think that sparked something in Crowley's eyes, because he really disliked his mother, but he really idolized his father. But Aleister would regard his mother was strict and lacked any sense of humor, and describes her as a brainless bigot and narrow-minded, unlogical in the human type. Literally, that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it, really, when you look at it? His father died, I can't remember what date it was sometime in his teenage years. And at that point, Crowley was obviously entitled for the inheritance of the family business, obviously tied with the Bury, the Bury, and the El Bury. I can't just pronounce the words. 420, and I'm screwing up my words. So he managed to inherit $7 million. Okay, and today's inflation, God knows what that would be. But it's a lot of money for 1888. You know, that's a lot of money back then. So they had a very successful family business. And after Aleister Crowley's father's death, he started to notice a change in behavior, and he resented God, really, and anything Christian related, which brought on afterwards, obviously, the death of his father. And from this, spending the whole 11 years devoting himself to the Lord Jesus Christ, started to pay his attention to Satan, okay? And Crowley started to get obsessed in his early teenage years about Satan, okay? Because what I need to point out is that Crowley was not a Satanist. He never worshipped Satan, but he would put Satan as like the sideline, okay? So he wasn't really a Satanist. Is that right, Hidden? Would you agree with that statement?
My understanding with him and Satan was he didn't want to bow down to Satan. He wanted to kind of be like Satan's right-hand man.
That's it.
He didn't. He didn't want to be a dominion. He wanted to be a ruler.
Perfect. So yeah, that's it.
That's kind of what I understood about it. But
yeah, spot on. Yeah. So at this time, Crowley had a really hard time understanding experiences. Most probably, he was on the like autistic. Yeah, so autistic realm. Bear in mind, we are dealing with the late 18th century here. And like I said, he had a hard time understanding experiences. For instance, as we can enjoy sex and the act of having sex, Crowley had to take the sex aspect but pull it into the most extremes circumstances to actually order to understand what it's like. Okay, so he would take things to the extreme. He around about age 14, he finally made a friend called Arnie, who introduced Crowley to smoking, gambling, and drinking, and obviously women. Okay, so at the age of 14, he didn't inherit his father's money because he had to be the age of 18 to really inherit the money. So they was still working from a wealthy family. And at this time of the age of 14, bear in mind, this is like 1887, something like that, around that time period, when he met an actress and he fell in love. And from his words, from Crowley himself, he said that basically it took all the Christianity, all the illness away from him. It simply went away, in his own words, and he felt anew. Basically, he just experienced ejaculation. He saw women, they obviously had sex, and he had a good time. And that probably most likely changed his perspective.
But take it away from that, love does do that to people.
It does, yeah.
It does make you change a lot of things. It makes you change your outlook on life. A lot of things. The right woman can do a lot, or the right person, because there's women out there too. So I mean, the right person can do a lot for you. And it's vice versa. You meet the wrong person, they can run you into the ground.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and I wish Mustachio Man would have took that advice. Hey, Stephen in England, how's it going, man? And Dead Poet, nice to see you. How's it going? Yeah.
No, carry on.
Where am I to? I lost my bloody notes now. So yeah, when he finally actually had sex with a woman, he finally it changed his perspective, like you just mentioned there. And until his family found out he had this girlfriend involved, the family actually brought him back to Christianity life. And I think at that point he's experiencing the gambling, smoking, drinking, and obviously prostitution with women and sex for the first time. And then he's having all this fun. He's really having fun now, isn't he? Doing all this sort of stuff and making friends. And then suddenly he's stripped back into this Christianity route. And I think that's what really resented Aleister and Christianity. And I think he focused more on Satan. Like I said, he didn't focus entire philosophy on Satan. Like I said, he's a bit like a right-hand man, like a wingman, so to speak. So at this time, by the time of 21, he had his full inheritance. He had basically everything. There's $7 million, you know, which is a lot of money for late 18th century. Okay. So Crowley would dress in the most fanciest clothes. He would travel in Europe in 1896, where he spent New Year's in Scott's home, where Crowley overlooked. I misspelt that. He bought a house, not in Scotland. This was like his first house in. I misspelt that there. So he bought it somewhere. And this is where he sort of changes aspect on life. Now, at midnight, he joins the military order of the Temple. Military order of the Temple. Hang on, wait a minute, hold on. What have I done here? Hold on. Okay, right. Take everything I just said and scrap it, okay? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, so Crowley met Oscar Wilde, believe it or not. Do you know this, guys? Oscar Wilde? He was the most flamboyantly gay man you'll ever see in your life, honestly. Proper Doctor Who, 2025. So, yeah, that's Oscar Wilde, a very famous poet. But like I said, he was flamboyantly gay. And apparently they didn't really get along, even though you would have thought they had like the same career paths of being like poets and writers. And after dating Crowley, he was having like on and off affairs with like women. That's a reoccurring thing, guys, with Aleister, is that he was sleeping around a lot, especially with married women. Okay, so he was doing that in between when he started at the age of 21. And that seems to be very prevalent throughout his life. As soon as he split up with his girlfriend, he fell into a deep depression. And I think he was still suffering from the death of his father. I think that sort of played a massive part into his well-being, especially mental health as well. The Dead Poet, come on. This is... Yeah, just try and enjoy the show, man. Just try and enjoy the show. So yeah, this point in this life,
he's joking.
Oh, is he joking? Is he okay? That's kind of. I don't understand sarcasm. It's a chat. I don't really understand what they say in chat anyway. This is why I need to be with the person so I can get the sense of humor with it. So yeah, at this point in his life, here he began to research the dark arts and started to speak in various places, especially obviously like old libraries, trying to find like these old books on like black magic. And you think, guys, back in the old days, there was no internet. There was all books. That's all we had. That's all we relied on. That is like the original literature. Okay. So that's what he started to do. You wanted to know more about black magic. And eventually, at this time period, he purchased a book called The Book of Black Magic and Pacts, which he believed that God cannot be summoned in life, but only in death. But Satan can be summoned, okay? Because I keep on hearing that all the time, Satan being summoned, but I've never heard anybody summoning Jesus or God, so to speak. So the Book of Black Magic and Pacts was published in 1898 by Arthur White. Documents and books on spell. There was documentation on spells in this book, combined with suitable literature on black magic. So basically what he managed to do, the author of this book, Arthur White, was to take all the black magic from all the books dating at that time and blended it into his book. So Crowley was getting basically the whole shebang in this book, which I really want to try and purchase. Would be pretty cool. But apparently they're extremely rare to get. So in this book, it referenced the hidden church, which was out there in the world, and it got the attention of Mr. Crowley, that eventually written to the author of the book, Arthur White, which obviously given him more reading, so basically more literature to read. And this is the author giving the documentations to Crowley himself. And I think this was like the main aspect from what I gathered. Okay, this church was also mentioned in another book called Cloud Upon the Sanctuary, which is also obviously Crowley was a fond reader of. So I think that was probably one of his life missions work. Was the main aim was to find this hidden church. But then he made his own religion after a while. So I don't know if Crowley is like, he's all over the flipping place. Okay, so in 1898, Crowley became a writer and published 7 books, or 7 different books, at great expense and extreme extravagance. Did I say that word right? I spelled that completely wrong. I do apologize. So what I've researched, that the fact that he made these books and he became a poet at this time, but printing was quite a lot of money. But Crowley actually printed his books on very expensive paper, so his books were extremely high quality but cost a lot of money, and people just didn't buy him. And the people that knew Crowley flipping hated him, so he never sold any books at this time period. So Crowley was known for writing poets like White Stains. Go figure, guys. Yes, I'm not joking. White Stains. This is like what comes out of a man's penis. Pornographic and references to bestiality, necrophilia, eating shit, drinking piss, and having sex with Christ on the cross. Yes, he actually went that far. I am not joking. I had to put it in there, Aiden, because people need to understand, what he was writing about. And these are terrible poems. Terrible poems. I mean, I was reading them. I was going, do you know what? This is just absolutely hilarious. It's bad. Okay, it's bad. Let's have a little look. So one day, he went to. One day he went to a pub, and he was talking about alchemy. Have you heard of alchemy, guys? People in chat, alchemy. I mean, people got different perspectives on that. Hidden, chime in on that one.
I've heard about alchemy. In fact, there's an interesting story that they've managed to do it.
Oh yeah, alchemy. Yeah. I mean, you can trace that back through
many centuries.
Yeah, many centuries.
It was the golden thing, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. So when he was at this pub, he was obviously talking about alchemy, which probably he had no idea what he was talking about. But it got the attention of one man called Julian Baker. Now, Julian approached Crowley and told him that he was a practicing alchemist and that actually achieved fixing mercury, which was a hard thing to do in alchemy, mystic, whatever it's called. Through Julian Baker, Crowley met another practicing magician called George Jones, and to Crowley this seems to be coincidental, as he was searching for a magical master, and here they were in a pub. Look at that, straight there, right in the pub. And Julian and George was teaching Crowley how to astro project himself by going through all the rituals and meditations and formulas necessary to send your spirit out into the body and take you across into the astral plane. At this time, Crowley was having hallucinations and seeing monsters and demons and visions he was seeing in his dreams, possibly because a lot of drugs he was taking. Because bear in mind, when he was doing these rituals, guys, he was taking a lot of drugs. Okay, a lot of drugs. He was diagnosed, this was later on in my notes, but later on in life, he was actually diagnosed with asthma, and they gave him morphine, heroin, chloroform, all these hallucinogenics, LSD as well, Rebecca. Yeah, like literally fucking everything. So this guy was absolutely drugged up to the max when he's doing these ceremonies. So we need to get into the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I don't even have a picture up of this order.
So are you going into the Golden Dawn now?
Yeah, let's go into the Golden Dawn. Yeah, because this is where it goes.
So there's a bit there that's being jumped over, because he started practicing his magic, and this got the attention. This is where Golden Dawn came in, because this got the attention because people were saying, look, what we're doing, we're playing about, we're having a giggle, but Crowley's over there in the corner and he's quite serious. He's actually doing something. Okay. So when the chatter came on, it got the attention of Golden Dawn.
Right.
So this would have been Golden Dawn's time, would have been around when he was in thingy. Well, no, they first approached him, but they came to him again when he was at Loch Ness.
Yeah, he was when he got to Scotland, he was asked to be part of the Second Order. We'll get to that in a minute, mate. So the Hermetic Order was founded by 3 figures. So Dr. William Woodman. I have absolutely no photographs, man. I just spent 2 hours doing a podcast beforehand, and I tell you what, I forgot to get all the photographs ready. Do apologize. So yeah, 3 founding figures of this organization of the Golden Dawn: Dr. William Woodman and Dr. William Westcott, who basically studied Madame Blavatsky's work, and Samuel Mathers, who written a book that he lived so much. What the hell am I writing? Like, literally. Hey, Vic, how's it going, man? How's it going? Yeah, that made absolutely no sense what I've written down now. Like, Jesus. I write on my phone, I just copy and paste on the computer, and I just realized it don't make sense. But there's also another member called Annie Horniman.
I'm sure they're making these names up.
I'm sure it is, mate. Yeah. So yeah, you did have a few famous figures part of the Golden Dawn. Now let's cheat. Let's use AI. I'm going to put here, what was the Golden Dawn? Excuse me. So the Golden Dawn, officially the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, was a secret society founded in London in 1888, focused on the study of practicing occultism, metaphysics, and esoteric traditions. It blends Western esoteric traditions like Hermeticism, Kabbalah, alchemy, astrology, and ritual magic, aiming to foster spiritual developments through structural interpretations and teachings. Key figures include William Wine Westcott, Samuel McClure, William Robert Woodman, and later noted. Oh, screw it. I'm not reading this anymore. Right. So, yeah. So, you had some very prominent figures. Oh, God. This is what happens when you're 420 and read. So, yeah, some very famous figures part of this organization. So, it was very like almost like the Vril Society, so to speak. Very mystical, ooky spooky. Kind of reminds me of Hogwarts. He wasn't Satan there, so I wouldn't. He delved into it. Looking into it, but he looked into anything that was a bit dark, but it isn't necessarily that he sided with Satan. I mean, I couldn't find any references to Satan, to be honest with you, when I was looking through his work. It's more or less when he went to India, he was looking into like the Quran and what Buddha was talking about. So it's like a very like Western religions he was sort of, and Asian religions he was taking into consideration. Faking Game Master races here. Right, okay, so where am I? Where am I with notes? Oh yeah, so the Golden Dawn had over 100 members, spread upon several lodges, studied and taught the use of practicing magical and spells like weapons, talismans, magical circles, and astro projections. Sounds quite fun for 1888, doesn't it? You know, there was no internet, people were bored, and I would definitely join a group like this. So when Crowley was what's that word? I spelled that completely wrong. Inducted into the Golden Dawn. He was sorely disappointed of the outcome. The ceremony actually took place in a Masonic lodge, which was actually rented. I think Crowley at this time saw himself a very high figure because he was extremely wealthy. And you know what wealthy people are like? I know what wealthy people are like. I have clients that are wealthy. Luckily enough, they're actually nice, but some of them in the past, you can tell they're just very snobby. They think they're better than other people because they come from money. This is it. So I think he wanted to see himself to be the new leader of the Golden Dawn, even though there were like 3 stages, and he was just starting. Hey, Jose, how's it going, man? How's it going? Hello, now. Nice to see you. And 12 foot tall. Nice to see you. So yeah, at this time period, he really wanted to be part of this organization. But I think he didn't get a great representation because he was a bit of an asshole, to be honest with you. He was very narcissistic and had a massive ego, which doesn't rub off on people that well.
But see, in his defense, though, if he's looking at everybody and he's saying they're jokers, because he was actually trying to do something. Where these guys, like you said, it sounds like a good little thing. We're going to go here. We're going to try and astro project, have a few jars, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas he wanted to do it. He really wanted to do it. He really wanted to cast spells. He really wanted to open up portals. So
Yeah.
I don't see it as kind of like because he's got money, I'm better than everybody else. Kind of like he's frustrated because if you know something can work, and you're trying, and you're trying, and you're trying, and you look around everybody else, and they're having a giggle. You're like, well, what's the point? I'm going to go to Loch Ness and do this on my own, away from you cats.
I think he became quite disappointed because he started to realize that this was just a group that just hang out. They wanted friends and wanted to deal with.
And like
it's
you
a bit
said,
like Freemasonry.
No internet. There's no TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not a lot of things to do. So, but he was devoted in what he wanted to do. He wanted to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. He wanted to take it further, you know. And I think Crowley wanted to be part of this like cult or group, but he wanted to take risks. You see, but the Golden Dawn were a bunch of like wannabe Harry Potter wizard Hogwarts type crap. You know that I think Crowley wanted like real implementations. You know what I mean?
He said it the best. Upper tier LARPers. That's exactly That's exactly what they were. Upper tier LARPers.
That's right. Yeah, spot on, man. Yeah, spot on. Mod on now. So yeah, Crowley moved into an apartment with one of the members of the Golden Dawn named Alan Bennett, and they had a lot of.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be funny if his name was Gordon?
Yeah.
They missed that one when they was giving out all the names.
So like I said, he moved into an apartment with someone called Alan Bennett, and they started to do these sexual magics. Now, Rebecca said that Crowley was bisexual. Yes, that's very much clear. He liked to be
everything.
bottom.
He liked
everything. Yeah, he was top and bottom, so he liked ways.
Cats, he liked dogs, goats, sheep. He liked everything.
Oh yeah, Eli liked everything. Yeah, so he was a very, very, very dirty bastard, one would say. So Crowley. Hang on, wait a minute. I lost myself here. Oh yeah, so Crowley was ever the snob, and in his own words, he would describe the people or some of the members of the Golden Dawn as middle class of metacriticity.
Critins.
Something like that, yeah. It's just a word I cannot pronounce because I've spelt it wrong, and the whole thing doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's basically another word of, like I said, like what Hidden would say, like cretins or just lower class slobs or something like that. That's the way I would interpret it. But one other member describes. So one of the members of the Golden Dawn. Oh, a minute. Oh my god, man. I'm sorry, guys. My bloody notes here is all over the place. Oh, a minute. Okay, cool. All right, back. Yeah, so I was talking about he moved into the apartment with someone called Alan Bennett, but Alan was suffer from asthma, and he was prescribed with many especially mind-altering drugs like chloroform, heroin, and methadone, a lot of stuff. And they were both taking it at the same time when they were doing their rituals. And one of the rituals they practiced was called Galicia. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so they had a certain name for this ritual practice. At this time, Crowley believed that he will be the highest rank of the Golden Dawn, because remember, there's 3 stages, and he's just literally became the first stage. At the apartment he lived in, he conducted various rituals on his own, and then decided to do more rituals that was more like highly complex and difficult. And one of these rituals were called another name I butchered here, Oberemilia rituals, something like that. Okay. Basically, these rituals is designed to put the magician in contact with their own personal guardian angel. And what these magicians meant by guardian angels, we're talking about like Christian angels here, with wings and all that. This is not what they're talking about. They're basically talking about something on a higher intelligence. In one way, trying to find like hidden knowledge. So people that bring in like hidden knowledge. So that is basically a guardian angel. Okay,
it's what we would call now spirit guides.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, spirit guides. Yeah, spot on. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. So he started to do this ritual. Whether or not it actually worked or not, this is the other thing. But this ritual was focusing on this ritual basically for 6 whole months, and required extreme discipline, which obviously Aleister Crowley lacked, and lived a whole life of pure and holy status. So basically he couldn't have sex, he couldn't take drugs, and obviously he couldn't really do that to actually achieve this ritual. And this is going by text, and what texts these are I don't know, to be honest with you. So this was a very important ritual, with spending 6 months trying to crack down and get this ritual done. I think he failed mostly at the time, because he was focusing more on drinking, taking drugs, and having sex with people of members of the Holy Dawn, unfortunately. So yeah, so at this time period when he's part of the Golden Dawn, he wanted to really take things up a notch. When he started to realize that these are just a bunch of people that just want to get together, have fun, just share information and stuff like that. So it wasn't really serious. Okay, so yes, Moody, LARPing indeed, LARPing. So from this point, he moved to Scotland, and eventually he moved out in August of 1899 from London to Scotland, where he bought a property in a place called Bolskin. All right. Speculated rumors that Crowley summoned the Loch Ness monster during one of his ceremonies. Okay, so this is a.
But I'll chime in on that. I'll chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because
go ahead, mate.
Really, that is kind of impossible, because the Loch Ness monster, the sighting was way before. The first recording sighting was way before he was there. But
yeah,
it just is. Excuse me, I'm very sorry. It's just a fascinating fact. Well, not a fact. It's just a cool little fact that ties in with conspiracies, because as you know, as you've been saying before, that when you start doing researches into these conspiracy theories, you find yourself that there's no meat and potato to them.
Yeah, sure.
And unfortunately, that is one of them. And if you don't believe me, you can look at the first sighting of the Loch Ness monster, and you can see that it doesn't coincide with Crowley. But still, people love that one. They love that one.
Oh, that's part of the Stairmate Science Evidence Fringe. It's all part of it, He's looking into your soul, buddy.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
You're his next victim, mate.
Oh, where's my notes? Right, here they are. So yeah, that is a speculated rumor, guys, that he summoned the Loch Ness monster in one of his ceremonies that went wrong. Now, Crowley believed that the place that he bought in Scotland, in Bolskin, I believe, how you pronounce it, believed to be haunted, and shows figures following him. Well, he believed that there were figures back in his old apartment where he lived with Alan Beckett, and eventually followed him to his house in London to Scotland,
which is quite possible.
This is it. This is quite possible, because we all know that demons and entities kind of follow the person.
At the end of the day, if what you're saying, if that's, what was said is that he was doing this with the other guy, and if he wasn't able to keep himself clean. That's why you keep yourself clean. The ritual will be the ritual. You can still do the ritual, but if you're not off it clean, you have no protection. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So anything can come through. So quite possible that something did follow him, because I'm 100% believer in these things. I have my background. It's how I was raised. So I 100% believe in the power of these things, the rituals.
Sure.
I 100% believe in them.
Oh, sure. Definitely not denying that. But Crowley started to notice. I mean, he was a bit like a conspiracy theorist. It's like, oh, that's not a coincidence. That's like something on, strange about that. So he started to notice these recurring things, not recurring things, but these strange things. So Crowley's coachman became a drunk, and then the lodger keeper went insane and tried to kill his wife and kids when he was clearly a sane man before he met Crowley. And a psychic who Crowley met in London suddenly gave up the calling and became a new career in high-risk sex work. You think that's a coincidence? He ordered a camel and
Placosaurus. Isn't that what the Loch Ness Monster is believed to be? A Placosaurus.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah. So yeah, he was thinking all these bloody coincidences happening. So he thinks something was actually happening at the time. He called himself the Lair of Bolskin, which is obviously a place in Scotland, and in his house he would perform rituals and summon demons and monsters. And one of the rituals was called Albereminin. Still screwed up the name, because it's all in red here, which is a black magic ritual. And the reasons he did it was to become more powerful. Crowley definitely knew what he was doing. I think a lot of what he is written down about him is half-truths. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Fat Muppet. There was a lot of information I was coming across. It depends on what website, and I mean, I need to read books, old books on him, or read his own literature, which I should have done really, but that requires more than a week's research. But yeah, you're right on that one. There's a lot of misinformation or half truths to do with Crowley, and unfortunately, mate, if that's any sort of subject you look on the internet, that comes with the territory. Any sort of subject.
I think especially with him, because he's a very powerful individual. A lot of us laugh about him and his drug taking and his sex magic, but he was very powerful. And I think he tried to take the sex magic as his own thing.
Sure.
Kind of like what Stephen Greer is doing now with this CE5, trying to make out like it's his own thing. But when you dive into Crowley and see what he was doing, it's stuff that Crowley was doing. That's why I always tell you people, if you're gonna do CE5, be very careful, because you're conjuring. Yeah. It's just a conjuring that you're doing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm not denying Jake Barber. It's just I could do the experiment myself, really. But yeah, Moody put a really good point here. I met a guy who claimed that one of these groups tried to pull him in. He talked about seeing them raise demons. Yep, sorry, I'm nearly burped then. In dark basement rituals. However, when his blood was checked, turned out this group, a cult, had drugged him bedtime, exotic stuff. Oh my god, bloody idiot. Poor guy never really came down. Yeah, that sounds horrifying. That sounds flipping horrifying.
But unfortunately, it seems to be narcotics. Sorry. How you doing, Forbidden Truth?
How's it going?
We got to take that word off. We're not the Kanye. We're not the Kanye West show, man. We can't get away.
Do you know what? YouTube doesn't like that word. It's weird, not saying in a bad manner. It's just just can't say that word. It's YouTube, yeah. But that's interesting, Moody. That's
But yeah, do you know what? When they were doing when the CIA were doing remote viewing, weren't they using narcotics to get their people in that state as well?
Yeah,
I know they said they were making. I know they say they were doing meditation, but I think there was some DMT involved. You know, saying MDT or whatever it's called.
Oh, DMT, yeah, that's
DMT.
That's the stuff you take. You're simulating death, basically. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting, man. Hold on, let me grab my notes up. So yeah, he called himself the Lair of Bolskin because obviously he was talking about like it was almost like his mum called him like the Great Beast of 666. You know, he really hold on to that name. And at this time, he was writing poems and publishing them in various publications. As an established author. Fun fact, Crowley would ejaculate into the Loch Ness Monster waters. Did you not know that?
Well, if you're going to do it, why not?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you go swimming, you might have a bit of Aleister Crowley with you. So Aleister, Mr. Crowley, still pretty much part of the Golden Dawn, written a letter to Westcott, who was obviously one of the high-ranking members and the founder of the Golden Dawn, was to be part, because Crowley wanted to be part of the Second Order, so he was the first, and he wanted to go up to the second. Hold on one true sec, I'll get to your comment in a minute. However, Westcott rejected Crowley's request, and due to his extreme practices, or maybe they just didn't like him, and there was a black magic battle that took place by Yeats and Crowley at the Golden Dawn. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh, Ron Saxon, are you like you're stoned out your gorge, mate?
He'll regret that tomorrow if both of us knock his door saying, "Yeah, we're here for the free spliff." He'll say,
"Yeah, exactly." Yeah. So you got Dozy Runts. I've heard of Runts. Skittles. I've heard of Skittles. And
I love Skittles. I
don't like it. I don't like it. The one I had, I didn't like it. I'm more of a Cali person.
That's one of my favorite Skittles. I like the taste on that. You can taste the rainbow.
Because it's more of a citrusy taste, isn't it? If I remember. Yeah. We're talking about bloody weed now. So like I said,
Crowley would have been right at home.
Oh yeah. Bloody Crowley spirit knocking on the door. One true Saxon.
He would have been saying, "You know what, man? That's you guys are lightweights, man. Come and try some of these mushrooms."
Yeah, like these Mario mushrooms. Yeah. So at this time, Crowley was part of the Golden Dawn. He wanted to be part of the Second Order. Obviously, there's 3 stages, and he was like the first. He wanted to become the second. He written a letter to Westcott, who was the member of the Golden Dawn, rejected Crowley's request because of extreme practices. And we'll get to the battle in a minute. So Crowley arrived at the Golden Dawn Temple. So he travelled back to London to the headquarters, and he was dressed in a Highlander's turban. I spelled that wrong. Highlander's tartan, whilst wearing a Osiris mask. It's the same thing. Osiris mask, and finally wearing a Black Crusader's cross right on his chest, and he was insulting and basically shouting insults at the members of the Golden Dawn whilst he was standing at the steps. And then what happened? Hey Tony, how's it going, man? And then what happened? Crowley was at the bottom of the steps, and he had like 2 spears with him. You can imagine what this looks like, right? And you got 2 golden members at the top going down the stairs to speak to Crowley, and apparently there was like this black magic ritual going on between them. Could you just imagine? It's like that South Park episode when Cartman pretends to be psychic and he has the other psychics and they're like like a psychic off. Basically that. This whole thing sounds like a bunch of nerds. Do you understand? Like the Golden Dawn, it's talked about like this should be taken seriously, but the more I look into it, I'm going, it sounds like hidden. It sounds like BS, to be honest with you. It just sounds like a bunch of people who just want to get together. It like I said, it's late 18th century. There's no internet. Everyone's bored. No, there's no dildos available. You know, it's nothing. So can you blame him? No. So eventually making his way to the leader of the Golden Dawn, who lived in Paris. Okay, so he traveled all the way to Paris to meet the leader of the Golden Dawn, and he ordered or spoke. Well, as I say, ordered. He wanted to be part of the Second Order, and eventually he did, just like that. So the leader of the Golden Dawn, I haven't got his name here, when he traveled to Paris to speak to him, immediately, otherwise he was paid off or Crowley did the sort of thing, you know, gave him the old BJ, as one would say. So yeah, that is it's a possibility, but there was no explanation given to the other members of the Golden Dawn of what actually happened during the process of like how he didn't go through the rituals. He was just literally given the second ranking, the highest of second ranking, just like that, hidden. So there was at this point there was a very much stigma between the members, and I think Crowley sort of wanted to move away because he wanted to try and change the organization, but he really couldn't because he was just, I think they were stuck down down an echo chamber. Like I said, these were more or less like Harry Potter bloody, you know, type sort of things, you know, fantasy sort of Star Wars nonsense, you know.
But the thing is, when he's turned up there to France, he didn't come with empty hands. So and plus
no
the buzz about Crowley within the Golden Dawn. So he came quite prepared to, so they knew that, look, either we're going to lose this guy or we're going to have to do what he wants. So they rewarded him not only with the second position, but the highest position in that second position to keep him sweet, because they wanted a man like him there.
No, I understand. Yeah, for sure. But we'll get to the France bit in a minute. But then he moved to Mexico first of all, and later moved to San Francisco, and this is where he started doing his travels. Okay. Then he took a ship to Hawaii, and then on board the ship he had an affair with a married woman called Mary Alice Rogers, and then Crowley published his experiences in a romantic novel called Alice and Adultery, which basically exposed everything. So whether or not she actually got caught on that one, who knows. Then he traveled to India, developing himself into the Hindu practices of Raja Yoga and stuff like that. Or is it Raja? Raja? Excuse me. He later married a lady called Rose.
That magic is more transcendental, where you can take your spirit, you leave your body.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not. It's not exactly Satanism, isn't it? So this is where people need to understand. He wasn't a Satanist. He was not a Satanist.
He was trying to find things. That's all. Well,
yeah. Exactly, yeah. So eventually he married a lady called Rose Edith Kelly in 1904. They traveled to Cairo and began... doing these rituals by summoning ancient Egyptian deities and studying Islamic mysticism. Rose became delusional, and she said one time to Crowley that they're waiting for you. Okay, so I think these rituals started to
affect them.
Yeah, affect especially Rose, the lady. Okay, so whether or not this is coming from the diaries of Aleister Crowley, so whether or not it's actually true or not is the other thing. Careful for what, Tony? A voice appeared in his head which indicated this voice was Egyptian deity of Horus. And from this experience, Crowley created a whole new religion. And this religion was known as Thelema. Thelema, there we go. So a book was published, and he called the book of the Law, which was saying that the book was dedicated to him by a beyond human being. That made absolutely no sense. I think I took that off Wikipedia and put it somewhere that made absolutely no sense, so ignore that. On the 28th of July 1905, Rose gave birth to Crowley's first child named Lilith. Crowley had a magical protection, so he decided to climb the biggest mountain in, oh god, another word that I spelt right because it's not in red, Kanchijika.
Is it a long word?
It's a word I'm going to go back to the comment section. Oh, sorry, Tony. Yeah, sorry, mate. The comment meant below, above that. Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, my bad. This is when you do like several things at once, mate. You know, and you're 420 and it doesn't help. Yeah, it's one of the highest mountains in the world. It's somewhere in India. It's not Kilimanjaro. It's not that because that's in Africa.
Africa.
Yeah. So at this time, in 1909, this was like 3 years after Crowley had the first daughter. Eventually she died in 1909, and this was through typhoid. Is it
Typhoid.
Yeah, typhoid, which was contracted in one of the regions I think it was in Malaysia they were in at the time, and Crowley blamed Rose on this death of the daughter. So yeah, it was a bit of a tragic end in 1909, and eventually Crowley divorced Rose at this time period. So the death of the daughter really did take an effect on him. So Crowley had magic protection. Yeah, I said that already. Money was starting to run out. At this time. Yeah. Oh, no. Crowley, yeah, I'm on the right path. Yeah, so he was spending a lot of money. You can imagine the drugs, and at this time period, like you mentioned, Hidden, he was taking a lot of heroin. He became a heroin addict, and that was through the duration, and all the way to his death. Actually, I mean, he started to deteriorate from this point. Because I've never taken heroin, but I can imagine it's extremely addictive because it has screwed a lot. I mean, I know one person who's taken it who's even perfectly normal, and then suddenly, it must be a very powerful drug to do something like that. So the one way of making money, he began taking on students. Okay, this is where the occult aspect sort of comes in. This was to promote his teachings, but then he moved to Paris in 1911, where he was writing poems and short stories, and he met another woman called Marie Desit. Oh my God, why have I got to read? Why can I just not use AI?
Yeah,
and even they started conducting ceremonies, and it is believed that during one of the ceremonies, oh, that's cool, man. Pop. That's no worries, man. No worries. So yeah, during one of these ceremonies, this voice would appear through Mary, who he was seeing, and it's to believe that it used to be a secret chief when she was in this trance, and Crowley, when the ceremonies were going on and Mary was in this trance, he would write everything down and eventually published it in 2 books that I'm not going to pronounce because I'm screwing up the words here. So in January of 1914, Crowley and his new friend called Norbert, performed 6 weeks long ritual called Paris Workings, and this was a period of intense ritual involving very heavy drug use, and this was to invoke the gods of Mercury and Jupiter, and part of the ritual, the couple would perform acts of sexuality and a splice of black magic. And eventually after that, they all fell apart as friends. Yeah, I'm not surprised when you're having anal sex with each other and you're spending every single day of your life, This is gay anal sex here, guys. This was forbidden back in those days. You need to understand that. Crowley did things that were extremely taboo. And he believed that gave a very much source of power. Remember the quote, do as I wilt, something of the law, something like, so he took that into consideration. Do you know what I mean? So when that friendship fell through, this is where it gets quite interesting. We're coming up to the ends of my notes at the moment because I'm rambling on for about over an hour. During World War I, Crowley was against the British and became involved in the New York pro-German movement in January of 1915. So remember, so obviously 1914 was the beginning of World War One. This was a year after, and a German spy called George Silverstone employed Crowley to write for his propagandist paper called The Fatherland. But Crowley was a double agent, apparently, and he was working for the British Intelligence Service to infiltrate and undermine German operations in New York. Apparently.
Well, there were rumors that he was a wartime spy.
There was rumors, but my God, did he shag his way through? My God, he, like literally, the stories I've been hearing. How's it going in? Oh my God, I am. Next time I got to read, I'm not 420ing because I'm getting progressively worse as this joint goes down. My reading's getting worse. Oh bloody hell! Right, we're coming up to the end of the what I'm reading now. So yeah, Crowley eventually moved into an apartment with somebody called Rhodey Minor, who became his partner and a new secret Scarlet. So he's had like two things on the go at this point. Through these rituals, Crowley would call on a basically Crowley would call this ceremony another thing I can't mention, and he drawed a picture of this entity. And that is a picture I should have brought up, and I'm going to bring this up now.
Is it law?
No. Points in chat if you can actually get this one right. He drew a picture of an entity. No one hasn't got it. Right.
It's not up
Let's
yet.
bring this up. Hold on a minute. So he... Oh, where is it? Where is this? Oh, there is. That. This entity started speaking to him. And this was called Lamb. That's it, John. So, oh, you got there just in time, John Strokes. Yeah, so this has been talked about on another show that a guy hosts every Friday that I can't mention. I think it's about a twat waffle, to be honest with you. Terrible readers, and he 420s too much. But decent looking guy. And but this was talked about a lot. That this looks like an alien. Tony, is that you, brother? Tony on screen, bruv. But yeah, this entity, you could say that this is like the early drawings of like an alien head. Not necessarily the eyes. If you tilt the eyes a little bit, it made it a bit more, grey alien-like. I mean, if you look at Tony's like picture there, that's like another part of like the grey alien. But if you look at the photograph here, what Crowley is drawn here. See what happens when you're 420? It looks like an alien head, the traditional alien head of a grey. So yeah, this entity called Lamb. I'm gonna leave that on the screen for you to look at. Let's bring my notes up one more time.
And didn't he always refer to him, because he never referred to him as a demon or anything. He referred to them as an interdimensional being.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Interdimensional being, which is basically aliens. Okay. So at this point, money was drying out, and he moved back to England, which he got a lot of flack for due to his pro-German stance during World War One. And then in 1920, he moved back to Paris, and at this time, he was diagnosed with asthma and some other things, and obviously he was prescribed heroin and other drugs. So that's another downfall, and obviously his health was declining at that point. Then in 1935, Aleister Crowley was declared bankrupt, and his health rapidly declined after that. And we're coming up to the end now because I'm done reading. On the 1st of December 1947, Aleister Crowley died from chronic bronchitis at the age of 72. That I could have gone into a lot more detail, but to be honest with you guys, that's an hour and 20 minutes, and I don't want to bore the crap out of you. And I knew I was going to read really badly anyway, but this is just like the crumbs, or like the crumbs of the full biscuit, so to speak, of what Aleister Crowley was about. He wasn't a Satanist. He was just basically experimenting at this time period, which must have been extremely boring. Come on, guys. this is late 18th century. It's going to be boring, okay? So there are aspects you need to take consideration of how far Crowley took things. We're talking about sex magic here, and there's one thing I said to Hidden is that, could you find a video explaining the sex magic aspect? And to be honest with you, I really struggled doing this, finding the ritual side of what made
the only video that I did find was an AI generated video, and it's got the weird voices and everything. And I just thought, you know what, whenever we put that on, we just say, you know what, we instantly regret playing it. But but he's more than just that to me. He's more than just that. I mean, every place that he's gone, like, let's go to Italy. It is that bad, the place where he stayed in Italy. It is that bad. The Italian government forbids anybody to go there. They've cornered it off. They blocked it off so you can't go there. Every place that he seems to have resided has I don't want to use the word haunted, but there's presence there. It's reported. I mean, like Jimmy Page went on to buy Crawley's mansion in Scotland.
Yeah, I think
and he was heavy into the occult.
Oh, Jimmy Page, yeah.
And the influences that Crowley had in the music scene. I mean, like, look, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's band, the Beatles, they famously put him on there. And they were asked, well, what were all these people? And they were saying they were influential people. So that shows you the power of Crowley and that was long after he had died.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's a lady who's asking Aleister Crowley about the Golden Dawn and the house. Have you got this up here? Fieldo, wait. How's it going? Stay away from the cult. I would agree. Cults are always a sign of brainwashing. There might be some good cults out there, but to be honest with you, I'm a bit of an introvert. What's that? Introvert is the one you stay on your own, isn't it? You don't really deal with people. Is that introvert or extrovert?
Introvert. Extrovert is somebody that's always out there.
Yeah. So I would stay away from that. I mean, normally I pick the vibe up from any place I go to. Any place, I just pick the vibe up, and if I get a bad feeling about something.
Me too.
Where am I? Where's the video? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this young lady is going to ask Jimmy Page a question about the Golden Dawn. Please play.
Your involvement in the Golden Dawn?
Oh, my involvement in the Golden Dawn is in so much as I was very interested actually in Eastern and Western mysticism, and I spent time reading and researching when I was younger. Yeah, I guess that's it. That.
Go on.
So there were some very eminent characters in the Golden Dawn, and I found it very interesting to see the history of those that had been in it, and this sort of esoteric movement, and also sort of what went on, the offshoots of it, of that sort of love of all things mystical and magical, all things bright and beautiful, really.
Do you think that's why people did that thing when they played Stairway to Heaven backwards and said that you were talking about Satan?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go straight back to the Beatles here, because there was a time when somebody wrote a thesis about Paul McCartney being dead. And Paul is dead. And if you played back the records, I'm very serious, it's crazy. But if you played back the records, there was something which said Paul is dead. And so then they started to play back all manner of records, and of course we were going to be main candidates for it. And somebody said, oh, it says My Sweet Satan in it. And I thought, oh, gosh, it's hard enough writing the music one way round. I don't know that.
Well said.
Jimmy Page, ladies and gentlemen. Well, yeah, well said.
I got to chime in on that though, because there was a famous court case back in the 90s, and they were talking about the backward masking of records. And one guy went in and he played this song, and it said something like, Satan is good, Satan is great, and all this. And they were like, what band is that? And the guy said, it's Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah, right. I can remember the days when you used to, I mean, this is like 90s, it probably is actually before then, when you would rewind the song. This is a early form of what I would consider pareidolia. It's like, oh, that word sounds like Satan. It's a bit like EVPs with ghost hunting. The amount of EVPs I hear, it's like, oh, I can hear it says, I'm here. And all you can hear is, it's like nothing to it.
Yeah, but it tells you what it says because they put the writing on the bottom of the screen.
Well, that's stupid. That's retarded. But if you listen to it, it's like I can't. It's people, and I have to admit, it's people that are very religious, especially the people that are really into Christian, that are trying to find words that sound satanic or to do with Satan or that. It's truly pathetic, really. I can remember they call it. They said that's it, Moody Mongrel. That's it, the satanic panic of the 80s. Fun times where my pitchforks and flaming torches.
I mean, in that era, Kiss said it the best, and I loved what they said, because they were burning albums back then, and Kiss said, well, because they were interviewed about it, and they said, well, look, these guys are going out to buy our albums just to burn them, so we're still making money. It doesn't matter. Say what you want. So
Stargate. Oh, yeah. Sorry, man. Stargazer. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a plumber. I'm a gardener by trade, but I understand your frustrations being a tradesman. Put it that way. I hope the client was nice to you. I don't know if you're self-employed or not, but sometimes you just feel like saying, "Do you know what? Go yourself." Do you know what I mean? But I hope you're feeling better, Stargazer. I hope you're feeling better, brother or sister.
You're on my channel. You're on my channel.
Yeah, you got a good lock of hair, mate, for
me and
your
Jimmy
age.
Page. Me and Jimmy Page, man, we go to the same hairdressers.
Yeah.
I'm with him though. I ain't dyeing my hair, but yeah, it's
yeah.
But it's like the influence of You got any more things to play?
Oh my God, sorry, I've been podcasting for like 4 hours. Hold on, wait a minute. Oh God. There's one thing I notice, right? When I sit down, my sinuses play up, and I can feel my nostrils, nose cavity closing up, and I sound extremely nasally. So I may have to stand up at some point and do the show, because it's getting bad, man. I need an X-ray to have a look at this. Let me just have a look at a video. Have you got any videos, mate?
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure you were done, because then I'm gonna my videos.
Yeah.
Go next. My video, as you know, guys, I always like to give you long videos, because this is where I say, listen, if you got them, get rolling. It ain't long. It's about 15 minutes long, but it's very because the thing is with I still say Crowley, he influenced a lot of people, and even after his death, he's still influenced. And one of the biggest people that he did, in my opinion, that he influenced was a guy called Jack Parsons. Now, this guy went on to work for NASA, but he was quite open in the rituals and the parties that he was, again, parties. Now, he was in California and he was having these parties, and people from NASA were going. And, but rather than me, because I don't take notes, I'd rather do the school thing. Let's roll in the VCR and let's watch something. So
yeah,
I'll get
yeah.
Hold on, let me just cough a bit. God. So you know what? Ever since kids, kids. That's all I can say. They're germ factories. As much as I love my daughter, she's a germ factory. Right.
Surely you should be susceptible for all that stuff now, shouldn't
you? No. I've got a low immune system. Let's see. Here we go. I'm trying to get it right on it because this is I got this, and I think this was a pretty good one about this. This goes into Jack Parsons, and I think he's a very interesting character also. But he did take on the philosophies of Aleister Crowley. So here, let me present Mr. Jack Parsons. And I believe they even did a TV show. There was a TV show about Jack Parsons. Yeah, see, now knows it. Jack Parsons Laboratories.
Right.
So here, I think we can start it from here.
Yeah, I would agree with you, flamboyant Muppet. Flamboyant Muppet. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I said your name completely wrong. Fat Muppet. I do apologise. Yeah, what is the point of having kids? I totally understand. That's why me and Mrs. don't have them.
No, the point is because they do give you joy.
I can't stand kids. I'd rather keep my money, thank you.
I wouldn't want to spend a day without my daughter. So, there you go.
That's good for you, man. That's good for you, but
witchcraft.
Yeah, not for me.
And yet, in 1904, the Wright brothers flew the first successful airplane. 1 decade later, in 1914, Jack Parsons was born. While most boys of his generation were still fascinated by airplanes, Parsons was already 2 steps ahead. He dreamed about building the first rocket ship that would take men to the moon. Of course, back then this idea was considered a total fantasy. In the 1920s and 30s, characters like Buck Rogers popularized the idea that humans could explore the expanses of space, but it was purely science fiction. Flying an airplane is one thing, but no man could truly go to the moon unless they had magic powers. Scientists and engineers from around the world said that the math, it simply didn't add up, and that mankind would never make it out of the stratosphere. For Jack Parsons, the opinions of all these experts didn't stop him from trying to make this dream a reality. He studied the chemistry necessary to create a liquid rocket fuel that was, in fact, strong enough to defy gravity, and for good measure, he practiced a bit of magic. Yep, magic. His work would become the basis of NASA's modern-day space program, but his legacy was tarnished by his involvement with the occult. Instead of being in the limelight of history, the memory of his accomplishments was pushed aside for years. This is the story of the original Rocket Man, Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons' parents, Ruth Whiteside and Marvel Parsons, were originally from wealthy families in Massachusetts. They moved to Los Angeles together in the early 1900s. In 1914, they gave birth to the subject of today's video, Marvel Whiteside Parsons. When he was very young, his parents got a divorce, and Ruth Whiteside called her son Jack instead. Ruth purchased a house on Orange Grove Avenue in Pasadena, California, which has the nickname of Millionaire Mile because the streets are lined with mansions. Parsons was a bookworm, and he enjoyed reading sci-fi instead of playing outside and making friends. He was so fascinated by stories of magic that he once tried to summon the devil in his own bedroom. Parsons wanted to grow up to build a rocket ship so badly he was willing to do whatever it took, even selling his soul to Satan. Nothing happened, of course, and he later called this experience a magical fiasco, and he never attempted to do it again. In junior high, he did badly in school, even though he had a bright mind. Growing up without a father, Parsons, he was awkward around other boys, and many people considered him to be effeminate. Another boy in his class, Edward Foreman, was also bullied for reading science fiction books. The two became close friends and shared the dream of one day going into space. When they were in high school, they experimented with fireworks and homemade rockets in the Parsons' backyard. He was always trying to figure out methods to make the rockets go higher into the air. Their backyard was full of large craters made from all of these attempts. Indeed, he was so hyper-focused on this goal that his grades, they continued to plummet. Jack Parsons' mother, she sent him to a boarding school called the Brown Military Academy in the hopes that this would straighten him out. But it didn't work. He was expelled for blowing up one of the dormitory toilets. Ruth Whiteside's father, they'd been supporting their lavish lifestyle, so when he passed away in 1931, they had to move to a much smaller house. Parsons was attending college to study physics and chemistry at the time, but he had to drop out because his family could no longer afford the tuition. The chemistry classes he took in school were enough for him to find a job as a chemist at the Hercules Powder Company, which specialized in creating gunpowder. He earned $100 a month, which is more like $1,760 a month after modern inflation, and he was also learning much-needed information about explosive chemicals. He married Helen Northrup in 1935 when he was 21 years old. He tried to save up money for tuition so that he could transfer his credits to Stanford University, but it was simply too expensive. Jack Parsons, he was still really close with that childhood friend we mentioned, Edward Foreman. He and Ed attended public lectures at local universities to learn from some of the greatest minds in the aeronautics industry. They met a Caltech student named Frank Molina, who introduced them to his thesis advisor, Theodore von Karman. He allowed them to have access to the Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory, which had been abandoned after the Great Depression. Once they had access to the state-of-the-art equipment, they gathered a team of other graduate students at Caltech to help them build a rocket engine. As their experiments got bigger and bigger, they had to move out into the desert to an area known as the Devil's Dam in Pasadena. Their official name was the Gaussid Rocket Research Project, but all around campus they earned the nickname the Suicide Squad because of their near-death experiences experimenting with explosives. They succeeded in building a rocket-fueled assisted takeoff rocket called JATO. Soon enough, the United States Air Force took notice in this rocket engine. The government hired Jack Parsons and his friends in order to create the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL. Years later, this same laboratory would become the foundation of NASA. Parsons made so much money at all of this that he was able to buy a mansion in Pasadena, which he named the Parsonage. By day, Jack Parsons seemed to be a man of science and logic. Little did his friends and family know that he was leading a double life, casting magic spells at night in the hopes that the universe would help his dreams come true. He met the magician Aleister Crowley and became deeply involved with the occult. They believed in a belief system called Thelema. Their mantra was, "Do what thou wilt," which was a way of manifesting their wants and desires into existence. Aleister Crowley had grown up in a strict Quaker household where his parents raised him to read the Bible on a daily basis. Later in life, he was able to attend Cambridge University, where it became evident that he had a genius-level IQ. He wholly rejected the teachings of the Bible and focused instead on secularism. However, anything against Christianity was interpreted as being demonic. Crowley fully embraced this as part of his identity, calling himself the Beast and attempting to summon powerful demons to come to his aid. From the time Jack Parsons was experimenting with rockets in his backyard as a kid, the idea that man could actually go into space was still a fantasy. Many people refused to believe that it could one day be real. And while it's hard for us to imagine now, the mere suggestion that man could reach the moon was considered to be rather sinful. While Thelema has plenty of spooky and paranormal elements to their religion, their core belief system was actually not too far away from many New Age beliefs and modern-day publications like The Secret, which calls the concept the law of attraction. Practitioners of Thelema did, in fact, believe in magic, but it wasn't just card tricks and parlor games. They practiced sex magic, which is exactly what it sounds like. They believed that the intense feeling people have while having an orgasm opens a gate to the universe. They believed that in that small window of opportunity, it is possible for a human being to perform a magic spell. All they really needed to do to perform this spell was to focus on their intention while having sex, and their wish would come true because it was put out into the universe. Jack Parsons became the leader of his own group, and they would have huge sex magic orgies at his mansion in Pasadena. Not surprisingly, Parsons' wife did not enjoy this sort of lifestyle, so she left him. He began to have an affair with his wife's sister, Sarah Northrop Hollister, who believed very strongly in the occult. Unlike her sister, she actually enjoyed participating in these orgies, and Jack Parsons was just one of many men in the group that she would practice sex magic with. While it may not surprise anyone, Aleister Crowley was addicted to sex, and multiple orgasms in one day were no longer enough to satisfy him. He experimented with drugs, and he eventually became addicted to heroin, which was his downfall. At one of Jack Parsons' meetings, he and Sarah Hollister met a science fiction writer named L. Ron Hubbard. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because Hubbard would go on to found the cult of Scientology. But at this time, he was one of the very few sci-fi writers who were writing in such detail about the possibility of sending humans into space. As a hardcore sci-fi nerd, Jack Parsons was thrilled to meet L. Ron Hubbard and invited him to join in on their parties as much as he wanted. Parsons believed that he could summon a goddess named Babylon. She is described as being the great mother of the earth and a symbol of sexually liberated women. He asked his followers to participate in a project called the Babylon Working. He thought that through all of these sex magic rituals, the Scarlet Woman would come along to give birth to the Moonchild. They believed that this child could be raised to aspire to travel to space instead of holding on to the comforts of Earth. They never actually gave birth to a real baby because they hoped that this would be more of a symbolic gesture for future generations of mankind. The Scarlet Woman was a symbol of free love throughout the world, so people could have sex outside of marriage more openly. In a way, you could actually say that this spell actually worked. Just a few years later, the United States entered the space race, and the entire world turned on their televisions to watch the first steps onto the moon. In the 1960s, the hippies then spread the free love movement that Parsons had hoped for. Maybe, just maybe, all of that sex magic actually ended up working. After discovering his ties to the occult in the late 40s, Jack Parsons was fired from his job at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Since he was down on his luck, L. Ron Hubbard asked Jack Parsons if he would be interested in partnering in a boat business in Florida. Parsons gave Hubbard $20,000 to start the business, and Sarah Hollister asked if she could go too. After stealing his girlfriends and robbing him blind, Parsons realized that he'd made a terrible mistake by trusting him. At this point, L. Ron Hubbard did create a successful boating business, but he never paid the money back. Jack Parsons had to go to court to get his $20,000. Years later, L. Ron Hubbard would become the founder of his own religion called Scientology, and he used this boat business to create his Sea Org. He borrowed much of the same principles taught by Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons about setting intentions and being the best person you can be. He also mixed in his own fictional ideas made up in his science fiction novels. Even though Sarah Hollister left Jack Parsons to marry L. Ron Hubbard, there were plenty of other women in the group who practically worshipped him. He met an actress and artist named Marjorie Cameron. Just like all of his other intentions, he had put his ideas about an elemental woman out into the universe. So when he met her, he believed that they were soulmates. They were so intensely attracted to one another when they first met that they spent 2 weeks straight making love in his bedroom. He married Cameron in 1946. Marjorie Cameron was more than a tad bit eccentric. She claimed that she had visions of the coming apocalypse, and she created artwork about her occult beliefs that would later become popular during the Beat Generation. The 1950s was the beginning of the McCarthy era, where the FBI was investigating anyone under suspicion of having ties to the Communist Party. They began to investigate Jack Parsons due to the fact that he took documents home from his new employer, Hughes Aircraft Company. They suspected that he may be supplying the USSR with these documents about rocket engines. After learning he was under investigation, Jack Parsons voluntarily showed up at the FBI offices in Los Angeles to explain that he took the documents home because he wanted to give examples of his past work to apply to a job in Israel. The FBI at this point thought that he could actually be a spy for the Israeli government. He was fired from the Hughes Aircraft Company, and this was enough to blacklist him from ever getting another aeronautical job again. Declassified documents revealed that the FBI had been following Jack Parsons' movements since 1948 because of his occult ties to Aleister Crowley. They believed that this was a subversive group and considered it to be dangerous. They were simply waiting for a moment where he might have slipped up. In 1951, Parsons' career was over and his marriage to Marjorie Cameron was falling apart, so they separated. Jack Parsons was no longer raking in huge paychecks. He occasionally worked as an explosives consultant on the sets of Hollywood action films, but these gigs were few and far between. He had to work the night shift at a gas station, and he rented out the spare rooms in his house for extra income. In June of 1952, Parsons received an order from a film set to create several explosives for a movie. They asked him to hurry because they were running on a tight schedule. One of his tenants joked, "Be careful, or you'll blow us all up." Parsons responded with a chuckle and said that everything would be fine. An hour later, the lab exploded. He was still alive, but half of his face had been blown off from an explosion. He was rushed to the hospital, but he died from his injuries at just 37 years old. His official cause of death had been ruled as an accident, but many elements of the explosion are surrounded in mystery. He had so many years of mixing chemicals and creating bombs, people find it hard to believe that Jack Parsons could have made such a careless mistake. Some think that maybe he was feeling so low that he wanted to kill himself. But if Parsons' intention truly was to commit suicide, he would have known how to build a bomb that would have killed himself instantly instead of suffering in the hospital. Some people speculate that someone wanted him dead and they snuck into his lab to tamper with his chemicals. The idea that he was assassinated by the government is a conspiracy, but it certainly does make a lot of sense. It seems almost too convenient that Jack Parsons blew himself up at the start of the Cold War. He knew plenty of government secrets about their fledgling space program, and he was already showing signs of wanting to flee the country. Parsons truly was a genius capable of building a bigger and better rocket than the ones created by the US government, and they may have feared that he would sell his services to the USSR. The fact that Jack Parsons credited his work with the occult for his success in rocket science was an embarrassment to the rest of the aeronautical community. If the public knew about this, it would completely ruin the credibility of the government's attempts to build a space program. They were already having a hard time raising taxpayer dollars without some guy chatting about sex magic. Sadly, the program earned a lot more credibility once he was out of the picture. After his death, NASA would name one of the craters on the moon after Jack Parsons, only it was on the dark side. This is very much how they felt about his contribution to rocket science. They wanted to give credit where credit is due, but many wanted to keep his memory out of the limelight. While he was alive, Jack Parsons' ultimate goal was to have his rocket experiments succeed, not just for himself, but for future generations. He wanted the whole world to look to the stars and know that it could be a reality, and not just some fantasy written about in a sci-fi novel. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, in a way, Parsons' sex magic spells actually worked because all of his intentions that he set out into the universe eventually came true. Tragically, he did not live long enough to see NASA send a man to the moon, but if he was watching from across the universe, he would surely be proud. And if you want to learn a bit about the real stuff that Parsons was interested in, a great way to do that is through Brilliance. We talked a lot about rocket science in...
Oh, Moody.
But see now, what I found interesting, I hadn't watched all of that, so I didn't know that Parsons actually met Crowley. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was also a member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, which is a mystical group that was founded in the 20th century. And you could say this was very much a kind of like a real society sort of teachings. But unfortunately, no Maria Orsic, because Maria Orsic doesn't exist. But yeah, it says here, as I'm on the Wikipedia page, as I'm sort of going through it, English writer and occultist Aleister Crowley assumed control of this order because Jack Parsons was part of this order as well. And Crowley had to be inducted into the OTO by blah, blah, blah in early 1910, remaining blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it's mentioned about Jack Parsons knowing Crowley. Yeah.
See, that's one thing I didn't know. So that's really good. The other thing also was that his friendship with L. Ron Hubbard, because I do know that he is the guy that started Scientology. But see, so he's implemented. See, basically, they took Aleister Crowley's teachings because regardless of because Parsons took Crowley's teachings, and then L. Ron Hubbins took Crowley's teachings, and there's some of the documents of Scientology. So to me, it made sense, because when I was looking at some of the stuff like the Pharaons, I don't want to go into it, but if you guys know what I'm on about with the Pharaons that the Scientologies believe in, that goes back to what Crowley was saying. So but I'm sure Crowley called it a different name, or he might have called it the same name. See, but anyways.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? He had his foot in a very lot of influences through many institutions. Yeah. Interesting, man. Yeah.
And it just, I mean, that guy did. It's a very good information of a video, but he's trying to tell Jack Parsons' whole life story, and he just really touched on the magic bit, the stuff that was going on in his house. But he was into, like he said, he was doing the sex magic. Yeah. But again, like what he said, it's not like it's the opening up. That's what I did say at the beginning. But that's me.
I'm trying to find a video of his home, like someone actually going to the location. No, I can't find any.
So I guess we're at the end, I suppose, eh?
I think
I'm sorry, I forgot to mute then. Ugh. So many people say that Aleister Crowley was one of the most evilest men on earth. I think that's a strong label.
Yeah.
I think that's a very strong. I mean, when you look at things like people like Robert Mugabe, Mustachio Man, and many other dictators, Pol Pot, they've done more things. They've done more things without magic. Oh, who knows? I can't say nothing, because we know Adolf. I suppose we can use his first name and not get in trouble. I'm sure Adolf was into the occult. We don't know what Mugabe was, because there's strong magic in Africa. They practice magic as well. Every continent on this earth has their magic that they practice.
Sure.
So
yeah, Chillster. Yeah, sorry, man. People just don't get notifications for some odd reason. I don't know why. I really don't know why. And I can absolutely categorically confirm to the people in chat that Maria Orsic simply does not exist. I wish she did, but until there's actual proof, she might have a flippin' OnlyFans page. I don't know at this point. I mean, she would have been like 135 years old at this point, so maybe she used some of that real magic. Who knows? But yeah, no, this has been a very interesting episode, and I have to admit, it's nice to take a step back from UFOs. We want to go back into like UFOs and stuff like that, but just something a little bit different. And the rabbit hole I went down, but writing everything out into a script. Oh, hey, is it Thielen? Is that right? Treelan?
He was involved. It's not an assumption. He was involved. He had an whole section looking for relics and everything to get into the he was heavily involved in it.
Yeah, there was the Golden Dawn did collect like relics and all that, but I think Aleister did his own thing. He did a lot of ritual magics by himself.
She's talking about Adolf.
Oh.
You got to know the codes. You got to know the codes, man.
Yeah, that's a AH. Yeah. I don't know, mate. I couldn't find any information on that. Treelan. Is that how you say it? Treelan? He didn't help me out here. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Yeah, Treelan T.
Treelan T. Yeah, I couldn't find any information in terms of Mustachio Man and Aleister Crowley. Although, was he in Germany at the time?
But it's not him and Crowley. It's just the fact that, like, he was into the occult.
Sure. Early on, yeah, because he was taking inspiration from Madame Blavatsky, which is where a lot of Mustachio Man and obviously the occult leading up to the Third Reich had that occult aspect into it. So yeah.
And I mean, I think in his things, because he would have heard of the Spear of Destiny, and obviously the great it's the Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. I'm not well, so my brain ain't working.
The Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant, which many believe is a weapon.
Yeah, energy weapon.
Because of the biblical stories, many people believe it's a weapon. So I don't know. I think Crowley, I think he was misunderstood, man. Just a little bit misunderstood, and a lot of narcotics towards the end.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Treelan. I think a combination of things. Yeah, he was extremely wealthy. He had a massive ego. He was a huge narcissist. That obviously comes with the territory of being filthy rich, doing what you want, having a philosophy of do
what thou wilt,
do what thou without the whole of the law or something like that. So he had that going throughout his life, and I think he did have mental illness as well. I would agree with you with that. So it's a combination of many things. But you think of this time period, guys, it's not like it is today. It's completely different. There was no internet, nothing technology-wise, working toilets probably didn't exist back then. Do you know what I mean? So I think we need to... Could you blame what he did? To be honest with you, sorry, I hit on swore. I would be doing what Crowley would do. Probably not to the extreme of like having sex with like animals and stuff like that, but to be part of a group doing all this spooky superstition, Harry Potter, Hogwarts stuff. Mute button, Manny, mute button. And I think there was nothing really going on that time period. So looking into this, yeah, they both were. Yeah, both were.
He's a heavy meth addict.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, not say I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not. What he did, probably a bit too much to the extreme. But anyway,
Well, see, to me, he had a natural curiosity, and he just wanted to see, like you said, to the extreme. He wanted to see how far he could take it. And to my understandings, there was a lot of disillusions with him because the people who he thought were at the top of their game, when he started playing the game, he realized these guys are jokers, man. These guys are jokers. Exactly. Like as far as opening portals and contacting spirits and stuff. He did what he did. He did what he did, man. He did what he did. There's a few things that we all as humans do disagree with him. But for the whole part, they're trying to replicate the things that he claimed he did through science at the moment with getting Lamb. Because remember, again, Lamb was an interdimensional being, and Crowley said that. He never called him a demon, never called him an alien, never called him anything other than an interdimensional being that came and gave him the Book of Law.
Okay.
Because that's where he met him in Egypt. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he's taking a lot of influence from that time. So it's an interesting one. I mean, we could all conjure up stuff through spells and rituals, if done rightly,
or wrongly.
Either way.
The ritual.
This is it.
And we see this going on in modern times. So really, it's not because there weren't nothing to do, like no internet and stuff like that. It's still going on. We touched upon this when we decided to do the show, when we were talking, like my one that I always go to is Katy Perry drinking blood out of the horse's heart.
All right, I thought you were going to say something else then. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, that's a ritual. And when she was pulled up about it, she said, well, it's just a stage show. But you can say it's a stage show, but you still did the ritual. The ritual doesn't know it's a joke, it's a show. It's a ritual. And she still did it. So
yeah.
And many others do it.
Oh yeah, many others do it. Yeah, we were talking about that with Lee. We were saying about the ritual side of like the music industry. It's crazy. I'll be interested to see what
Well,
in
not too
terms
long.
of influence that in terms of what Crowley had on like even like the music industry.
Well, he had a load of influence on it. You just saw Jimmy Page. You saw, the Beatles had him on his album cover.
Oh
You can
yeah,
look
yeah,
this
yeah,
Sergeant.
yeah.
He had a big influence on that. They took a lot of
No,
that sex magic teaching into the Hollywood fields, and we can
sure.
speculate. We can speculate that what Diddy was doing was sex magic.
I'm going to be honest with you. The interview
Sorry.
with
Hello.
oh hey
Sorry.
Jane. Oh how Jane? How's it going? How's it going? It was interesting with the interview with Jimmy Page. I want to know what was the practices of Aleister Crowley's sex magic put into the music industry. Okay, this is what philosophy did they use to create the music that they did?
Well, we
that's
easily,
what I want to know.
Well, we easily saw that with Jay-Z. I don't know if you remember, about maybe 10 to 15 years ago, Jay-Z was on doing this tour, and he was selling T-shirts with "Do what thou wilt" just written on it.
Oh, did
and
he?
His teachings has influenced quite a lot. I mean, I would even say Hollywood, because look at the parties that go on. Look at the parties that Cat Williams talks about. Where he's talking like, for these people at these parties just for giggles. That's why he said, I mean, check out what Cat Williams says. I mean,
okay.
he talks about at these parties, they like, because he talks about black people, and he says, they like to put these people in awkward situations for their own amusement, like where they would have a black man come to the party, and he's a well-known actor. You know what I mean? It's not just some random off the street. He's a well-known actor, and they'll put a part in front of him and say, well, if you want this part, go dress up as a girl. And then when the man's dressed up as a girl, he'll say, now go kiss that guy. Go do this. Go do that. It's all Cat Williams. Sorry.
I've seen that video with another rapper who's dressed in like a maid outfit. Oh, I can't remember his name. Usher or something like that.
That's what Cat Williams is hitting at. That's what Cat Williams at the moment knows to be quiet. I don't know if you guys in the chat heard of Cat Williams, but he knows at the moment. I don't know what, because he was talking about Diddy. Him and 50 Cent were talking about Diddy before it come out, and he even said on the Shay Show, he said, and he did the show last year, and he said they're gonna come for Cat Williams. They're gonna come for Diddy. Cat Williams said that on the Shay Show. They're coming for Diddy. His time's over now. And then 3 months later, there you have it. There you have it. We are here now. Well, I am here now watching the court case, and it's sad to say. Well, I don't know, because here's how I look at it. If somebody's innocent and they're standing in front of court and they're defending their innocence and they found innocent, fair play. But it does look like, the way things are looking, it looks like Diddy might get away with this. I'm waiting to see who else they're going to call in, because his ex-girlfriend that they got at the moment, I can't pronounce her name. She doesn't. A lot of things, they're poking holes in her story. So,
to be honest, I just stay away from that stuff. Look, all these rappers.
Cat said he was there.
Look, I'm going to be honest. Look, a lot of these rappers have obviously turned out to be gay. I mean, has anyone seen the video of Tupac when he's like 17 being interviewed? I mean, I don't want to be stereotyping, but it's pretty clearly obvious, okay? Would you say that this is sex magic? I just think it's just a bunch of guys who want to shag each other. Have you not heard of a gay club? It does happen. I mean, I think there's just people that just like sex. It does happen. There's clubs on it.
But
So,
but there's all right. There's all right if you like to have sex, but then why are you turning people that ain't gay by banding them? Say, here's a record contract, and I'm saying these guys as well for doing that, because I ain't turning gay for no record contract.
well, unless you're, I can't say his name, allegedly, JB, if that makes sense to anybody, and how he was groomed into the music industry from a young age. And that's a clear sign, because
But you could say the same about Usher Raymond as well,
sure,
or Usher. I mean, who knows? Who knows, man?
Is
Who
it
knows?
a dirty industry when you look
It
at
is.
it from?
It is. Well, you can see with Weinstein. Look what happened with Weinstein and all the stuff that came out. But I mean, it's no surprise now, because I'm coming from a media background, a media study background, and even as when I was doing media studies way back when, the casting couch was something that we joked about, but we knew about it. Right. So I think what Weinstein did, maybe, yes, it's bad. I'm not saying maybe, but yes, it is bad. But it was something that was known of. You know what I mean? It was known. That's why it wasn't a shock to me with Weinstein. It was a shock of how many people he did it to. But then again, Weinstein was one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. So it's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, dirty industry all the way around. We could do episodes on it, but I don't know if YouTube would allow it.
I wouldn't cover it. You might get too many people come after you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't cover it. I mean, look what happened to Cat Williams when he was being vocal about it. He took it on his live show, on his comedy tours, talking about it. Didn't they try and jam him up for burglary? Said he robbed his own jewelry.
Yeah, I remember claims like that. Yeah, something stupid like that. Yeah. Oh, hilarious.
So, well, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, great show. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I don't want to be like talking a lot. I might just put things into like bullet points next time, because you know me, I like to 420 a little bit, chill out with you guys, gets me in the mood, but it affects my reading. So if I put short to bullet points with videos, I mean, to be honest with you, I couldn't really find short videos, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What I found, it's all live streams, isn't it? People doing
that's it.
Or they're reading books. They're reading books associated with Crowley.
Yeah.
So it's a very hard. I knew there was. See, I don't know if YouTube scrubbed them, because I knew there was stuff. There was stuff about him, like like the BBC. I'm sure the BBC. Yeah. I agree. I think they've been scrubbed, because I'm sure there was a good documentary on the Loch Ness and Crowley that the BBC did. Hate to call them out, but there you have it. I will call them out.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. Do you? This whole reality is fake and gay.
I would agree. Fake and gay is 12 feet tall. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Yeah. Thanks for the message. Appreciate it.
Did he? See, as you know, I'm a big fan of KJ. So, did he? He had a lot of. See, KJ's another one. He gets a lot of his stuff removed, so they go after him. That's why he's changed, because he's changed. I mean, Nick doesn't know who KJ is. He runs a channel called The Scariest Movie Ever, which is really cool. Really cool, because the scariest movie ever is our reality, and that's what KJ is trying to focus on. But
interesting.
I don't know how long you've been with KJ. I mean, I've been with KJ for a very long time, and what he's doing now to please the algorithms ain't what he used to be like. I remember it was like a big family, wasn't it? He'd come and he'll get some You get some books that we never heard of. Like I never heard of the Shepherd's Tales until he got him, and he would do readings from him. And you know, it was like we were like a big part of a family. And I stumbled on him by accident because I like watching horror movies. So when I found the channel saying the scariest movie, I thought, oh, this is going to have some good. And I'm sure glad that I just put one on and started listening to what he was saying, because I've said this to KJ and I'll say it out in the open. Back then, I was alone with my thoughts and my beliefs. And when I met KJ, or when I stumbled upon his channel, I found like-minded individuals, because certain things I couldn't talk about with my friends because they weren't into that subject, or they just thought I was nuts.
Right.
Whereas KJ, I found a home with, and I'm always indebted. And I always say I owe the whole YouTube experience, me being on YouTube, me doing what I'm doing, I owe that to KJ. So, you know.
Awesome, man. Fair play.
He's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy. Very, very religious guy. But he's not religious to the aspect. He's religious to the truth.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
His weekly shows are very valuable for both current affairs and the past that lead us to where, yeah, he does. He's got some very good insight, man. Very good insight. So, anyways.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a great show. Yeah, thanks to everyone in chat. Especially you, Black Dot, if you're still there. Yeah, God bless you. And your shitty comment. But otherwise, yeah, thank you to everyone in chat. It's been a pleasure as always. And next show, no idea what it's going to be about. We're going to talk about Hidden. Got anything in mind?
I haven't got a clue.
Chat, and people in chat, is there a topic you want to talk about? Anything in mind? That's to do with ufology, aliens? Do you want to do Roswell? Do you think that's going to bore people?
I would.
Or
would KJ come on my show? I'd love to have KJ on. I would love to have KJ on. He's a mentor to me. I would love to have him on, but I don't think he would come on.
That was worth a try, mate. Let's reach out. Give him a shout.
I know. I know. He's an awesome guy. Awesome guy. That's the Buznik that I get, because he knows what he means to me. He means so much to me.
Okay.
I mean, even at moments where I thought I was losing my mind, and KJ was there, man, with his words. And he doesn't do it anymore, and I miss that. I miss that when he would just grab a book and just start reading from it and tell you, like, again, Shepherd's Tales shows a whole new light in different stories, you know?
Yeah. Oh, bless. Well, I mean, reach out is up to you, brother. We could do a show with him. Sure, be a good conversation. Yeah, man.
See, there you go. Everybody, he's a great guy. He's really he's a gent amongst gents. I can't praise him up any higher, because I know some stuff as well, and I know he's a gent. He's a gent, man. He's a true gent. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Somebody gave him some donations before, yeah. And like all of us will take the donations. He turned around and said, I don't need your money, man. And he sent it back.
Fair play.
He's a gent, man. I'm telling you, he is a gent. But anyways,
well, reach out anyway.
I bigged up KJ enough, man. I bigged him up. But I love you, man. I really do. Wholeheartedly, I love you. And that's cool. He is one person. I know I don't think he smokes 420, but I would have a coffee with him one day, and I'd love to talk to him about so many things.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Fat Muppet. Unfortunately, that topic is no go for YouTube. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tricky one, isn't it?
I mean, the one I would like to try and get if we could get away with it, because I don't really care about the money. So that's the only way they're going to hit me, unless they just take us down straight away. Is do the human mutilations.
Ooh, no, mate, you could get flagged for showing the alien autopsy video. No point showing those photographs, mate. I think. I don't know. Oh, hey, thank you, Saxon. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and happy
Thank you so much for your kind donation, man. That will help to 420. I would still love to do it though. I would still love to do the human mutilation, because I think that's a really good story, and it's not. It's. I know it's being talked about. Yes, there you go.
We'll think about it. We'll keep on the cards and we'll think about it, because that is a really this is YouTube we're talking about here. It's it's not free speech. We all know that. So topic for Friday, Rebecca. I'm not too sure. Oh, crop circles. We're going to talk about a bit of crop circles and maybe some German flying saucers. Again, they don't like when I talk about it. Or Mike could add a quiz in there, like a quick quiz. But we'll see. I'll keep it entertaining. But yeah, thanks to everyone in chat. It's much appreciated. We've got to end the show because we're getting on now, and I've been podcasting for about 5 hours. So so yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Take a note on that. Let's Treelin talks about the time jump that CERNs did.
Okay. All right, hold on. Let me just write that down.
Oh, thank you, Moody. Thank you so much,
man. Thank you, Moody. Much appreciated. Thank you. Time jump case.
Because that's something that's something I haven't heard of. Could that tie into like the the Mandela effect? Because it's strange that a lot of people are seeing these things now.
I tell you what, why don't we do that? Because that ties into Mandela effect, and I can pull up all the word stuff. Because that's pretty entertaining, isn't it?
So it is entertaining.
So we could do the time jump. Well, we could do like CERN, portals, time jump, and Mandela effect. What about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sound. We'll do that then. All right.
There you go.
CERN, portals, and all that. Yeah. And
so Tree Linty. Join in,
thank you,
because you did it. This is your show now. You did it.
Okay, so yeah, we'll do that. So it'll be all about CERN, which links into Mandela effect, time portals, and timeline jumps and stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be an interesting one actually. It's a bit different. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that actually.
Yeah,
sweet.
I'll try and grab some stuff on that as well.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of content to show on that. So yeah, thank you, True Linty. Much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully see you not next week, but the week after on Wednesday.
Hold on. Let me just because Lynn is asking, so I got to tell her it's going to be 2 weeks' time on Wednesday. But if there's anything talking about, I will do a pop-up show if there's anything going down.
Yeah.
Sadly, there isn't. Yeah.
So it'll be Wednesday, the 4th of June, Trinity. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. All right. So it'll be June the 4th.
I think the best thing to do, if you go on the channel and click on the bell, if you haven't done it before, hopefully that would get you notifications. But if it doesn't, I will try and be a bit better with posting letting you know that we're going live on the post. So hopefully if you follow on X, I always want to call it Twitter, X.
Okay, same there.
Or if you got me on my Facebook page, it's up there along with other stuff. Because like I said, even if I'm not posting on a YouTube channel, which I'm not, because I'm not finding anything, I'm not finding anything to speak of. I mean, like, we can look at Third Phase and they're putting stuff out, and it's really, they're not doing themselves any favors, to be honest. A lot of AI stuff and birds.
Tons.
Birds is the word.
Bird.
It's I'm gone surpass the just for clicks and views. I can't put things out that I know are birds and stuff for clicks and views. I can't do it.
That's fair, brother. That's fair.
So like I'm saying, if you check out X, we'll have. At the moment, I had a couple of good laughs on X. Have you seen my posters on X?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah. Some of them are quite funny. Yeah.
Where is Samuel L. Jackson when you need him?
Yeah. My snake behind a woman. Yeah.
Did you see the ghost video?
Yeah.
Oh, that had me in stitches.
Oh, it's funny.
So, I mean, it's stuff that I if I was to post it up on here, I don't think my I know you guys would get it, but the people that come here not necessarily people that watch my videos. Do you get what I mean? It's kind of divided. So the people that would watch my videos, they'd be like, "Hey, what the hell's going on here? You posted up a video about a ghost and it's not a ghost. You're laughing about it." Yeah. So we can't. So I am posting there enough everyday's things. I mean, I'm not going to do a video on crop circles, but I will post them. Did you see the NASA re-entry video?
Yeah, it's crazy. The plasma. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Just for clarification, this is how trends work. Okay, crop circles in Wiltshire, it's nothing new. It happens every single year. I don't know why people go, "Oh, new crop circle in Wiltshire." Is like, this is. It was done next to the entrance of the field. For Christ's sake, okay, it's like. People in America don't know, but crop circles happen every year. It's nothing new, and I don't know why people are freaking out about it. But at least one YouTuber got massive amounts of views for actually going into the crop circle, and then he paused and he paused the string, not the string. He paused one of the what they call it. There's these strands of stem of the corn. And you can see it's actually been bent by some board, because if you know anything about real crop circles, the actual protein inside the knuckle literally explode. They pop. Yeah. And this has got a clear bent in it, which means it's done by a board, which means it's fake. It's man-made. And I don't know why people, not naming who it is, but go figure, are like, this is new stuff. I was just like, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's not new. It's just find something else.
What the thing is, the reason why everybody's kind of jumped on it, it's because you froze. There you are, you're back. The reason it's misrepresentation, and sorry, it's the game, because what it is, it's the first one that's been spotted.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So that's what made it. I say alleged for the year. Well,
this is Wiltshire. If you go on Wiltshire, there's a website you can go on. It's a crop circle finder. Crop circles happen literally every year. It's nothing new.
Yeah, no, this is the first one for this year. That's what I'm saying.
But why people getting boners over it?
Oh, they always do. Everybody likes crop circles, man. Everybody likes crop circles.
No one in ufology and Twitter have been talking about crop circles. It's just because
that's ufology. That's because of ufology. I'm open to everything, so I talk about anything. And I like looking at crop circles, whether they're man-made or whatever. I still like them. I like the intricate patterns and stuff. But ufology is a different subject. Unless you're trying to tie in that fake video of the UFO making crop circles, then there you go.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. What's your Saxon? Fake and gay, certainly. Gay. But man, this ends the show, man. I want to go to bed. I'm awfully tired. But yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat. I shall see you in a couple of weeks. If not, I shall see you Friday on a show that I can't talk about. It's me on it.
Why do you say that? That's kind of passive aggressive there. Because you can promote your show. I've told you that over and over again, but yet you keep on saying the same thing. But then you'll talk about other shows. That is passive aggressive. That is passive aggressive.
It is passive aggressive. So yeah, find me on Alien Addict. And
I mean, I've even got a link. There's even a link to your show. For Christ's sake.
Is there?
Yeah, in the description box.
But I'll catch you Friday. And yeah, thanks to everyone in chat. I shall see you next week. Thanks for the monies and super chats. Whatever, I think it's called super chats, isn't it? And yeah, once you're Saxon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is much appreciated because the videos I play, especially that one with the music, will probably get me thingy. So thank you very much, and see you in a couple of weeks. Unless something interesting does happen, you never know. You never know in this game. A real UFO could turn up. You never know. So on that note,
or else Cotard, calm down.
Who? Oh, gosh. I can't do his voice, man. He's funny though. He makes me laugh. Or there could be a new whistleblower that I won't be covering.
Oh Jesus! Neither am I. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Welcome to you.
But anyways,
see you soon.
And on that note, good night. God bless. And that's it. Because I don't have to say it, because the song says it.
For there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing concealed that will not be known and illuminated. Stay blessed and keep safe. This is the hidden underbelly. Stay blessed and keep safe.